Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about effective performance evaluation for software engineers. This is the third video in the series. Earlier on, we have discussed about how your contribution as a software engineer matters to the business objectives, right, of the company organization that you are working for. We've cited an example of a business that has an objective of bringing in 1 million new customers in half one of the year. Now, to achieve this objective, the product team will come around, analyze that particular objective, and then come up with project breakdowns. And then this project breakdown will further be refined by the engineering team. The engineering team will then come up with individual tasks that can be grouped into sprints. And then in each sprint, each engineer in the engineering team will be assigned a particular task. So if an engineer decides to, drop the ball at the point, you see that there is a break in the flow, and eventually the business will not be able to achieve that objective of 1 million new customers. If the business is not able to achieve the objective, the business will not make the expected profit. The stakeholders, shareholders, investors will not be happy. The business will not be able to give bonuses, and so on and so forth. I've also discussed that performance evaluation for software engineering can be based on 4 pillars: the technical contribution of the engineer, the team contribution of the engineer, communication, personal growth, and development. So these are the 4 areas that needs to be evaluated independently to arrive at a single rating for a software engineer, right? So in previous videos, we have spoken about technical, we have contribution, we have spoken about team contribution. In this particular one, we are going to be speaking about communication. Communication is very important, but first, a quick story. Ever heard of the story of the Tower of Babel? There is a story about a group of people very early on. They come together, they want to build a great tower that will reach up to the skies to go and meet their creator, and their creator looked down upon them and say, hey, these guys are really achieving what they want to do, so let's confuse their language. And just like that, um, the project stalled. They couldn't achieve what they want to achieve. You can imagine somebody saying, bring me cement, and the other guy thought he meant bring me ladder. He's bringing ladder to somebody that needs a cement. So it's going to be chaotic. So that's how important communication is. Communication is key to the functioning of a team. Now, when you are evaluating the communication skills of a particular engineer in a team, what are the metrics you do? You can look at these 6 metrics. Number one, you can look at if they proactively unblock other team members, stakeholders. For example, do they answer questions, in scenarios where they are the most experienced? Number two, you can look at if they ask for help when needed, right? Number three, you can look at how is their response time and availability. Are they available when required, or they are the people that whenever you need them, you always have to be looking for them? Their team members cannot get a hold of them, and so on and so forth. Number four, you can look at do they provide feedback as promised? Say they have acknowledged a particular task that they are going to provide feedback. Do they provide the feedback? Or you have to still pursue them to get the same feedback. Number five, you want to look at, do they provide status updates about their assigned task, so that the team can identify any blockers early on. They can, unblock, and so on and so forth. Number six, do they actively participate in sprint ceremonies, team hangouts, events, and so on and so forth. So let's look at this in detail, one after the other, starting with the first one. Now, one of the metrics that you can use to evaluate the communication skill of a software engineer in a performance review is if they proactively unblock other team members. Say, for example, somebody from outside of the team is asking a question about a particular project that is in the purview of the team. It's a general question. So the person can go into the channel and say, hey, at Team X, please, can someone explain to me what this parameter means in this particular API, right? It's a general question, right? So what we want to evaluate is we want team members, when that kind of question is being asked and they have the answers, we want them to proactively, without anybody telling them, want them to answer that question, to respond and say, this means X, Y, Z. you can go into this particular documentation to find more detail, right? Well, in scenarios where even some team members don't know, we want them to come around and respond in time and says, hey, I think you can find it in this particular document, or they can come around and say, hey, person Y and Z will be able to help you to answer this. Generally being helpful in terms of responding and unblocking other team members. The same thing can happen to, say, even within the same team. So there is a new joiner that is asking, hey guys, I'm having this problem setting up this stuff on my machine. Remember, the guy that is asking the question is currently working, he is stuck, right? If he's not unblocked, that means he will not be able to complete his or a bit of work, right? If he is not able to complete his or a bit of work, then that means the person asking the question will not be able to contribute their quota to achieving the business objective, right, at the right time. So that's why it's very important that we evaluate how each engineer proactively unblock other team members, right? And on the inverse of that, right, we have seen a scenario where some engineers will keep quiet even whenever they are having challenges, right? They won't say anything, right? They won't raise an issue, they won't raise a blocker until that minute, right? Until the last minute to deadline. Then you ask them, hey, by the way, how is it going with the task that you've been assigned? Oh, I have been blocked for the past 5 years. I've been struggling to achieve this. And guess what? What they are blocked on, somebody else in the team is knowledgeable about it, is able to unblock them. I didn't mean that they've mentioned it much earlier on. So these are the things that you also want to evaluate. How does this engineer respond or handle situations where they are blocked? Do they ask for help? Do they do it proactively, or they have to wait until you ask them, and then it's almost too late? And because you're unblocking them very late, deadline is being missed. And if one deadline is missed, two deadlines is missed, before you could say Jack Robinson, the whole project is missing deadline because somebody just did not ask the right question or refuse to ask for help when they need it. So it's very important you evaluate or consider this metric when you are doing the performance review for an engineer, especially when it comes to their communication, right? The third one you can look at is this one is very straightforward. How is their response time and availability? Are you always looking for them every time you need them, or they are always available right there and there? Um, it's okay. Another thing again that we need to take note of this is it's okay, especially in these days that we work remotely mostly, it's okay to be away from your keyboard, right? But when you are moving away from your keyboard, it's expected that you either update your Slack status to say I'm away from keyboard, or you inform your team that, hey guys, I'll be away from keyboard for the next 30 minutes. And then anybody that has questions for you, or anybody that is asking questions from you, we know to wait. Or even if an external person is asking questions from you, other team members will not wait for you to respond because they know you're away from the keyboard and they can quickly intervene, therefore helping the team to function properly and helping the business to achieve our objective, right? Number 4 thing you can look at is, do they provide feedback as promised? For example, you assign them a ticket. Is it that they wait until you as a manager or as a tech lead until you come back around to ask them the status of the ticket, or they really volunteer information, which is very important? We want team members to volunteer information, because if you as a team lead, as manager, if you have to be asking for information all the time, when it's not available, then it makes your work a little bit more harder than it is, right? Number 5, which is akin to the previous point, is, do they provide status update, right, proactively, right? So do they volunteer information? Do they provide that status update proactively, right? And then number 6, which is under communication, is, do they actively participate in your sprint ceremonies, right? When you have refinement sessions, when you have sprint retrospectives, these team members you have, do they actively participate, or they are just there just saying yes or no? When was the last time they contribute or they provide an important suggestion that helps the team, that improves the overall team structure or team performance? These are the kind of metrics you want to look at. And why are we looking at these metrics again? If there is a communication breakdown within a team, the team will not be able to achieve or meet up with deadlines. And if the team is missing deadlines, of course, the business objective will not be satisfied, and end of the day, bad things can happen, right? So, like I've mentioned in previous videos, it's not enough to just come around and say for an engineer and say to an engineer, by the way, when it comes to communication, you are rated high or you are rated low. You need to tell them why. So, for example, if you say you are rated high because, for example, somebody asked this question in channel in Slack, you are able to respond, you from block them. It serve as a concrete source of evidence, something you can use to back your rating. You can look at the retro board, to look for the contribution of this particular team member. Have they ever made any suggestion improvement, um, to the team and so on and so forth. You can do a 360-degree review. 360-degree review is very important, right? It's like an anonymous survey. Very simple form. You say, what can you improve? What can engineer X improve? What can he stop doing? What can he start doing? Very simple. From this 360-degree review, you're able to see if engineer X has been unblocking other people, because the people that you are sending the review to, right, the engineer X teams or colleagues, right, they are going to be able to say, hey, by the way, engineer X has been helpful to me in this particular period. They unblocked me in XYZ. They helped me to, they showed me the ropes and all of that. So this becomes source of truth that you're able to use to justify whatever rating you come up with when evaluating the communication and ultimately the performance of this particular software engineer, right? So that's about it when it comes to evaluating the communication. So remember, communication is very important. It's the lifeline of the team, right? Thank you for listening so far. I hope you have enjoyed this. As I mentioned, this is the third video in the series. There is one more that we're going to look at, which is personal growth and development. And uh, just watch out for that. Please like, subscribe to my channel. I'm just building up the YouTube channel. Please show your support, share this video and even the previous videos in your circles. Thank you very much and see you in the next one.